chilling. So, additional mod added. More zoom out. Big zoom, wide zoom, plus zoom. Uncaps the zoom out. You can see the entire world. And I found a liquid bottling mod that is ARM compatible. You can note this is a couple of days after the end of last session. Some off-camera experimentation was done to find one that works, and it's this one. Chilldozer lives. Yeah, I got both of those swapped out, and we're good to go. Yeah, this also lets you scroll beyond where the edge of the map is. Out into whatever amount of additional void material it'll generate. Pocket of stench water. Here in the ocean. Interesting. So we got a couple of things to do as things carry on here. Previously, first offensive against the swamp occurred. It's going alright. The stank air vent is open. Slime lung is getting a bit closer to the base than I would like. Some of it has made its way through and is managing to persist even without any stench air for it to incubate in. Fortunately, the tubes are already in place to drag more chlorine up here. But just go ahead and turn this pump back on. And drag some more of the chlorine out of our caustic zone here. All the bleach stone we've been overturning is sublimating nicely. So we created our egg drowning pool. There are now 2 hatch living here alone on the 1 square of copper on the edge of the septic tank. It is a peaceful life. Alright, this gas pump, that's for cleaning out the carbon, also needs to move down a bit in order to properly do its job. Where was power for this coming in from? Yes. From this right-hand system of this foot wheel. There's no spare watts on that at the moment. Have to keep creeping the heavy power lines closer and closer. There's a little bit of spare capacity on this. If I went with a smart filter, that would do it. For now, I'll just make sure somebody operates this wheel. And then anyway, continuing off of that. So I want to reassure our, biohazard seal on everything that's going on up here. by repopulating the chlorine pit. I'm willing to let the pressure in the swamp chamber here just get very high for now. We'll see how much stink air accumulates. And then a wave of building will go into setting up our extraction system. But for now, as a precursor to figuring out how I'm going to take advantage of the heat of the volcano, my attention has actually drifted back over to the hydrogen vent. So hydrogen, sitting there with its 2.4 heat capacity, that's a bit more than half the heat capacity of water. If I were to take the heat that is in this 500-degree hydrogen, I could turn the same mass of steam to half the overall heat, or smaller quantities of steam to higher temperatures. So if I were to grab this hydrogen and just put it into a generator and burn it, I would destroy the heat due to a quirk of the system, since it wouldn't have a chance to warm up the generator. The generator would generate its flat amount of heat that it gets for operating, but all the excess from using hot input material would go away. So instead, I have a plan for some architecture. Or conveniently also, so since 500 degrees is the highest temperature that's involved in any part of this, I can just use stone for the building. So I want this insulated. And conveniently, there's the abyssalite there that I can back into and know that I have a nice barrier. Is the neutronium also? Yes, absolute non-conductor. So on the right side, I might double up on the insulation. But otherwise, bit of water weed there. So I have an insulated chamber down here around the vent. Then some distance above it, I have a pump made of as robust a material as I can provide. Probably try to get, I guess gold amalgam would do it. 50 degrees more overheat temperature, but also more reactive in the first place. Potential mixed results there. Because that's going to be the main hassle. If the pump that I'm putting in there overheats and shuts down, I might need a secondary system to cool the pump, which would also be bleeding some of the heat away from the mass here. But anyway, so for spacing purposes, picture that there's a pump here. It only has to be one to handle the throughput of the geyser. But so there's a pump there. And then somewhere above, where conveniently I'm backing up into another chunk of abyssalite, put down a nice hefty gas reservoir. Maybe make this out of gold amalgam. That it's just extremely conductive. Plenty of it to go around since we started cutting into a swamp. So, a gold amalgam reservoir. And yes, with the pumper sitting here, would be insulated gas pipe to up here. Switch over to, oh, radiant pipe is only made of ore. Interesting. Radiant gas vent is much less expensive than radiant liquid. Wild. Yeah, so comes up here, and I'm just going to have it circulate around in this chamber, which I will then put a small amount of water into. And then above that would be our steam engine. and a thermal sensor pointing at a shutoff valve, which after the hydrogen that's cycling around in here falls below some temperature, it'll be allowed to exit and go to a hydrogen generator to be burned. Because if I just burn it straight away and destroy the heat, I'm throwing away free energy. And that won't do. I have to think about how I'm going to allow access to the upper chamber. And I can allow some time to continue cycling here. And of course, all of that still relies on getting any plastic. Working on the iron. The cooling pool for the refinery is starting to get a bit warm. But that also isn't a problem, since I can then take this preheated water and transport it over to where I'm doing these things. Since it'll save a lot of energy to be able to have near boiling, just simmering water ready to go, in order to prime this equipment. I suppose I should set up a suit checkpoint here as well. This is a large enough area. Alright, my chlorine's getting delivered. Nice healthy globs of that. Be sure that the clean room stays clean. And just sneak this in here. Just a carbon detector. The one contaminant we care about inside of this zone. Right, swamp air pressure is very high. There's a lot of swamp air waiting to be harvested someday. Very crowded in the plumbing department. Where can I sneak hot water through all of this? Not too many options. Have to, like, go low? Run it through the basement? Would also mean resurfacing the ceiling here. Or more properly, going in and putting a solid floor onto this tank. And I will just go ahead and do this. Switch that back off. Alright, I have rechlorinated the clean room. Yes, that's my absolute barricade against the encroaching lung. Against the swamp air. All the visual effects for temperature and pressure affecting how the gases look are really handsome. Just look at the high pressure stank. Powerful. Right, I didn't manage to get this upper portion unstuck yet. Needs more relief. Or just an outlet? How many tiles of water are we looking at needing to pull in here? $20. Made the chilling pools too short to shove a liquid reservoir into. Unfortunate, but workable. If I just shove one of these somewhere, that'll provide the necessary buffer. And we're properly insulated against the splash that would be created if I cut just one section of the pipe. Managed to overcrowd again. The egg vac isn't keeping up. Or just wasn't in a position to make a difference for this one. Was installed too late. Alright, so I can break out over here. Right. These two just have exactly as much water as they need to cycle and are passing it back and forth, leaving nothing in the tanks. Alright, so I'll have ladder access around the side, knowing that I'm going to brick off all of this. Insulated down here, also insulated up here. Power generator goes up there. So other power generator probably also sits up on this level. And yes, the colony is already at peak non-space research. Learn about jetpacks we can't use. Could think of somewhere I could move those cats to. Can arrange for a stretch of exposed dirt for them to play on. Well, enjoy the tranquility of the sea. How did this happen? How dare Slimelung enter my home? How did it sneak in here? Algae that wasn't properly decontaminated. It's time to make a real electrolyzer. Now that we have known long-term water supply. Extensive known long-term water supply. Yeah, one of these is enough to keep an electrolyzer running indefinitely. Nice. Optimal temperature. So where should I build such a thing? Suppose up here is a usable volume. Let's see. Probably gonna end up moving some of the industrial machinery here. Yeah, at very least the basic loom. Haven't really been making regular clothing. Just the suits. Of which I will need 2 more. Alright, so no algae should be stored anywhere but the clean room. Yeah, there we go. Contaminated algae. Which, at least without any polluted oxygen for them to root in, they don't make it far. This seems fine. How'd you get so gunked up, Bubbles? Why you got so much gunk on you? Alright, so those eggs should try to end up as far up as possible. Hey, is that their space? Just a little further to reach space. Getting there, which also means, yeah, there's the regolith. Yes, we'll try to move those shovel eggs way up here. So, power. Yeah, there's available watts on this line that I can send down to the water pump. And that would be enough for the pump here and the electrolyzer itself. Knowing full well that it's going to give that back via the hydrogen burner that's disposing of the exhaust. And is regulated by the one universal smart battery. This would be an opportunity to start prioritizing one form of power over another. I don't think it's too important, though. It's fine. And let's see, know that as I'm decommissioning, well, as I'm creating this, should in turn be ready to decommission some of the algae diffusers. What were you hoping to stow? To be determined. Sheep count at maximum. The meal wood is overheating again, though. This needs to be part of a cooling loop. That's where I'll find the slack. Or, well, the liquid plant, the liquid bottle has provided some slack for that. Fluid is now gently circulating. Alright, so if instead... Where could I equalize to? The general vicinity of here? Things are relatively cool under Module 1. Morale is staying pretty firm. Though it is crowded, pipe-wise, once again. Well, alright, there's an opportunity to decongest. Cut all of that out and make sure to have any fresh pipes give each other some breathing room. Well, wait now. Yeah, something like this. Just using the surrounding air as my thermal mass. Surrounding air and brick. Suppose I could try to fast-track the work relating to the upper enclosure as well. To Sheep 2. Hot floor. Be careful about extreme condensation. Or no, right, this is the floor sensor that's looking for carbon. Soon we will see the true chilling potential. That we can have full uptime on the dozer. I'm just gonna open these and let this carbon skimmer run. Let it bite into all of this as well, instead of just the exhaust. Right. Right. Need to enforce this thing only operating when the appropriate gas is present. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Also, disable that for now. Till we're ready to really get started. But yeah, I'll set up a active filter there. unoccupied space like this. That's right here. Unoccupied. Enjoy that hydrogen leak. It's going on an adventure. That kilogram of hydrogen. It's going to see things. It's going to live. The generator is tall, even though it doesn't look tall while it's inert. I'll go with both sensors. After all the installation is done, I lock this. It just becomes a column. Yeah, so oxygen will leave here via passive circulation through the floor. Osmos. And the reasoning for now, which is this basic setup, is hydrogen that accumulates will be pumped, burnt, and just in case there is a filter here so that any contamination is instead bled off into the surrounding air. Now to make small amounts of steel, I am mostly missing lime. I am crushing every eggshell I find. Swamp pressure rising. Let this bite in a little harder. Quite alright with preheating more water. Although, things over here have also gotten a bit warm because of these batteries. I got this circuit finally redirected onto the main power line. That would clear up. I can achieve that with minimal hassle. There's all sorts of untangling of the wiring that should probably happen someday. It's fine. For now. We're good. Things work. It's insulated water pipe. Concept for which has made it this far. For taking my preheated danger water and shipping it on out to this future Steam setup. And then eventually I could redirect it as well up to here for the other Steam setup, which should be similar in principle. Just needs to get through here. Or bypass there entirely. In that I could set up a heat sensor. It checks for when we get over the line. Bit counterproductive to have it pass by this cooling loop. Yeah, it is a bit counterproductive to do that. Let's see. What else could I do? Alright, also this plan that was going on to bring circulating fluid up here, help regulate temperatures over in Sheeptown. Get that hooked up. Alright, the slime contamination is cleared up. Nothing is being stored here anymore. I could just disassemble this. And there we go. Get an insulated pipe over to here. Now I can make the journey. Still need to set up some kind of vent. Or I could just go with a manual valve. It will be a while before we're all the way up. I can use this manual valve. Left over from when we loaded the carbon scrubber there. That'll do it. Really need this wire in before the end of the day. One of you didn't make it to... There you go. There you go. I should print 2 more people. Alright, well, let's electrolyze. Ow. Lock this door. That's stray hydrogen, made of one sheepwise anyway, thanks to the vents here. Sensible architecture. Enough lime exists for any steel. Let's get to it. Also, so this chlorine tank here. Sitting around. I really should bring that to somewhere. Frankie. Frankie, you are causing the problem. Frankie. No more diffusers, actually. Frankie, do not deliver the highly infectious lung slime. You went and did it, Frankie. Now you've undid it, Frankie. You get a pass. Just this once. So, buff, gourmet yokel, mouth breather, mole-handed narcoleptic, suit wearer, slow learner. Not a great set of traits. I'll take the pills. You know, just in case some sort of disease were to spring up for some reason. Alright, so that has begun to operate. It'll probably need more tuning. Really, I should bite into a bit of this volume and build a better electrolyzer setup in there. One that could take more water from other sources. Did occur to me while retooling various things. This sink is receiving its water not from the recycled water source that I have set up. The closed loop that the bathroom runs on. But I could remedy that pretty quickly. Just cut this old valve. There. Yeah, because now that I've taken away the things, that I've removed the diffusers, Does mean I need to set up a more conventional life support system. The grid will need to come online. Which actually, hey, I already have an oxygen filter set up here that's sitting idle most of the time. And it's on the main power. What if I just skim a bit? Yeah, just quickly string together something that I can vaguely control the pressure balance of it. Well, wait, right. The way I should do this to minimize confusion for the gas packets. Just kind of worm back and forth like that. Splitting off one at a time to each vent. Probably only the top row of vents is necessary. Probably. Maybe. It's fine. As long as the algae is allowed to idle for any amount of time in the clean room, it will be sterilized. And even the basic water pipe is doing a fine job of normalizing temperature. Ice makers are a bit warm. Though there's no conductive plates down in the chilling pool itself in this one yet. That would do it. Also, we're getting power fluctuations? Okay, one arm has trouble refilling all 4 coal generators quickly. If they all empty at the same time. The arm can't see the necessary tile of the top left one? That's what's going on here? Arm. Arm will have to move. If it were right here instead, we'd be able to see all of them. Just the one electrolyzer is nearly enough for 8 tubes. The electrolyzer plus the poison oxygen vent would get me up to 9. All I need to do is set up my toxic oxygen handling system. Which will require harvesting some more chlorine. Things to do. Which, that'll be helped by getting the long wire built. Let me get that finished. We have one glossy sheep. A child. It's time to take out 2 of our oldest sheep, so that'll delay the need to build the second ranch up here. To any plastic. And yeah, the air distribution pipe is going to be next priority. We can get that electrolyzer running at full power. Get this barometer in here so we don't waste power. And deliver the damn exosuits, which haven't been built yet. Not a great look. Cooling pipe for the sheep ranch. Priority 7. That is the 7 job. That's moving smoothly. This is moving intermittently. Moving enough. Yeah, good. That's hooked up. All recycled water. No fresh input. The healthy buffer for everything hygiene related. Yeah, so one pump easily keeps up with what this thing can do on a daily basis. Need to create somewhere chlorinated that I can stow the air for decontamination. We've avoided any widespread outbreak of lung. And yes, got to install the robot arm to turn the power back on. That'll help. There we go. There's good times. So, let's see, 50 kilograms of steel. Steel vapor. Think about it. What if you boil steel? Yeah, heat capacity only 0.4. Very high conductivity, though. The fact that it'll let this pump operate at many degrees. That's what we want here. Copper will still be able to hold up for the wiring. And for the sensor. Right, do the sensors have a base overheat temperature? No, sensors just live. They can only shut down if they melt. Steel is heavier than feathers. A known fact of science. Alright, one of those suits got built. Soon regain our safe access to the beach. Alright, so I need to decide where I would put the chlorine tank for the swamp handling. And sometimes nature provides. Leave the one tile for the emptier. That is how I will chlorinate the space. what kind of power circuitry do I have available here? 970 on the distillers. On the distillers and the air pump for the upper checkpoint. Only 360 over here. Although that is also still tied to a wheel. Is it time to upgrade this line? Possibly. We absolutely need to have a better electrolyzer setup. Max pressure, how? Every one of your tiles is at, like, mere hundreds of grams. How are you max pressure anything? The electrolyzer is a profoundly fiddly device. Very delicate. At least power is back. Germ-resistant narcoleptic janitor. Maybe. Pass. The slime lung is back under control. Big part of what matters right now. And let me go ahead and harvest some more chlorine. Some oxygen is successfully moving. And I can remove these batteries and this wheel now. That'll help reduce heat. Yeah, regular metal can handle these pressures just fine. I still have my route to go access the far swamp when needed. Got a nice view of this former magma tube now. It has finished solidifying. Still quite handsome. Separate liquid vent. This one is for when I can mount the steam engine there. Any day now. Grow strong. Healthy and cheap. Pressure. Pressure? The air is too thin? The air is weird. They wouldn't want to live in the hydrogen. So if the hydrogen is spreading out, if there's not enough oxygen in the room, that's the problem. Air pressure in general is down in the base right now. And we're working on that. Cooling pipe is nearly complete. Yeah, now the complaint is atmosphere, because the oxygen has slurped out through the floor entirely. Alright, instead of passive ventilation, now that oxygen is going to be piped in, I should close off the floor. And if I already had the plastic, I could put in a small pump and a carbon sensor. I'll just rely on the door to occasionally vent carbon. Cooling loop is nearly done. Yeah, that's the only piece left. So, open this up. We'll start to normalize pressure across, well, temperature. Which is a kind of pressure. All across here. I'll be able to tap off some of this hydrogen and use it to prime the upper chamber. Once we're at that stage. That's right. Widen this up out of the thought that, for the moment, there's going to be both clean and stank air coming out of here, all needing to go into this chamber to be disinfected, but still a mix of substances. At least starting off, 2 tanks. But long term, I am going to remove the deodorizers from here. They've been a fine front line against the swamp vent. We're moving on to the next phase. Chlorine backlog looking good. It's all ready to go somewhere. Ceramic is something to be done. Ceramic will be of use. Ceramic is the best insulating material that you can make before you start having the fancy space age stuff that you retrieve from other planets. Alright, water level is up to 4K per tile. Clamp that down. Let that flow in and normalize. Okay, the upper dozer is more stable now as well. There are 18 tons of ice sitting in a hyper-compressed chunk down here. And another 20 in the upper dozer. I need to bring some real heat up to these to be sure that they cycle. Current heat sources aren't nearly strong enough. But I have the copper for it. I will selectively switch these to radiant tile. And also let's let a bit more sewage go up into the sheep loop. Buff but tryptophobic. Buff but anemic. Gastrophobic, caregiving, iron gut. Was a doctor. Dig. And can tidy. I think Abe joins the team. If necessary, there's our dedicated medic. But until it's necessary, you dig. And you logistic. Alright, now try even more to reduce that carbon bubble. Okay, we got the oxygen back in here. Just need to get the heat down. The interim solution might be an air conditioner. Especially if I could put it out swamp side. How do I prioritize shearing the good sheep? The real sheep. Sheep of the future. It remains the thing that's controlling the whole schedule for building this thing. And once it's really completed, I do want to brick this thing off as well. It's very nearby. We need to set up our handler for the chlorine vent. Main power is faring well. Right, part of current plans is to extend the chilling unit out to 4. It does mean relocating everything I have set up here. What do you mean manual airlock lacks resources? It's trying to be made of iron, when I am in fact out of iron. That's fine, you should be made of copper. Bubbles. Bubbles, how'd you do this? Yeah, I suppose it doesn't need to circulate. It can just sit there. It's all in the tank, and the tank is a nice, hefty thermal mass that's going to radiate. It's probably quirks of mechanics that mean it would run better if I had it constantly wiggling about the enclosure. I think this will work fine, though. And that heads up on its way. How is this an unreachable build? Dupes. You just walk along the ground. How is this unreachable? What? Where are you pathing to? You come down the big ladder, then you go over, then there you are. the mysteries. May as well move this water up. When folks have the time. The air pressure is getting too low. I guess I can decommission these, though. Move my farms elsewhere with more breathing room. This whole volume was just the pilot farm. To use minimal space. I have auto farm over there. And it's now supplemented by meat. Fresh egg. I'll repurpose this. Maybe I put the real electrolyzer in here? It's enough space to work with. I already have the cooling loop installed. Well, that won't do. That is a liquid lock. Gas won't pass through that, meaning that this old chlorine pump won't get replenished. Always concerns with power. Always concerns with everything simultaneously being top priority. I don't have to worry about sorting the gas yet, since I can also just have air fresheners at wherever I'm going to receive it. The quantity of the oxygen is at least keeping up again. The usual problem after you switch to a vent system, that distribution is now hell. I'll bring all of this down to a 7. My sheep are dying. Flooded the cooling loop again. Happens. Happens. I can fix this, though. Tagging these one at a time, rather than bothering to reach for the appropriate filter on the deconstruct painter. Don't worry about it. Although keeping this floor where it is... that seems fine. Because I'd only be doing the one electrolyzer for now. With the option to step up to more. No, I'd rather shift them down. There's going to be air pumps at the bottom, pulling the oxygen, and air pumps at the top, pulling the hydrogen. And the doors need to move down. Yeah. Entire block of structure comes out. Alright, we're getting somewhere. Snap this valve closed right now. There we go. This liquid is moving again. Farm tiles are now back below 30 degrees. Just the plants themselves have to get back to it. The air temperature around them is hotter. Alright, so... it may as well be twin electrolyzers. Naturally. Well, I'm aiming to replace that unit that's already there. So one of these pipe goes all the way back here. And then the other jumps into the system halfway along. And this one goes to my hydrogen burner. Suit wearing, farming. I'll take the acorn. Sheep is back. Sheep is back. Sheep habitat restored. So maybe achieving sheep separation is higher priority. Yeah, pepper plant doesn't care what atmosphere it's growing in, so the upper one can just be all hydrogen. Plastic is happening. Plastic occurred. Plastic is known. Hey, steam turbine. Now we make this happen. Do I need to have tile underneath it? Is that how this works? We'll go consult the diagram. Regarding Steam. If it can give me examples of Steam in the wild. Yeah, because going by the art, the steam inlets protrude out through these squares. See if we can get a screenshot of one already set up. Going by screenshots, though, they kind of provide their own tiles? Underfoot? Yeah. Yeah, I think I had this right the first time. This complaint of an invalid build location was a lie. A ruse. Should be able to do this. Or, no, the tiles need to be open. Still. That should do it. Just don't have anything built in their way. Or that'll complain, or that'll complain. Tile in the orange boxes, then. sheep are alive. That's part of what's important. And with the plastic beginning to flow, new technology. So actually accessing the upper sheep ranch, we'll have to open a door here in the roof of the hatchery. Because here is going to be another chilling unit. Or, right, you can walk through the chilling units. There will be a door here. There will be a door right there. So that much is fine. Actually fine and good. Started to seal that off without reason. Nice healthy pressure. Up in Swamp Chamber. Alright, now let's get hot water delivered. To the better oxidizer. The better electrolyzer. And I will need to arrange power. I'll have room to put a second hydrogen burner up here. Becomes a matter of, well, let's see. This is an old circuit. This is also an old circuit. This room is aiming to consume... yeah, 1400. It would fit on this wire if I upgraded it. Or on this wire. This one is in a better position to be fit with a new transformer. How much wire are we talking about? So like 40, and then I could get away with less upgraded wire if I slide a transformer in here. Just kind of step down for the remaining devices that are on this end. Yeah, so more like that. That should be the right amount of copper. No input on this liquid bridge. That's the pipe we're working on right now. Although that is just the cost of redoing the old line. When we then additionally add this new line. What if I redo this instead? Since I've already paid for this, I will hook it up. Eventually everywhere can switch over to fancy wire, since no material is destroyed in the process of refining. And it's the same cost, so I already have the mass of all the wire that I want. So it may as well be the best wire it can. Just a case of priorities. Which wire goes where? I think I just want to defeat all the CO2 that comes this way now. I'll replace this with an element sensor. What category did ceramic end up in? We have successfully produced a bit of it. It is mineral. Helpful that. Yeah, Rowan, be careful. Pool is hot. Pool is stove. Managed to process all my iron ore. Suppose I haven't bulldozed through that much of it. It is unreachable because the checkpoint is offline right this moment. Because of the usual. Hold up. How dare you cut the line? No, these are not steel air pumps. I guess that will stay iron. Can the robot arm not auto-harvest? Or right, the bin that's supposed to receive the meal lice never got built. For whatever reason. Whatever mystery of work priority. Right now, this is only powering a pair of water pumps. I can even just go ahead and take this circuit offline while the refurbishing begins. Doctor. Both quick learning narcoleptics. Two identical noobs. Operator, farmer, supplier, squeamish pacifist, and grease monkey. Welcome aboard, Otto. Backup farmer, but also you're gonna lean towards carrying and probably... Oh, you're a spare mechatronic engineer. Hey, buddy. You like belts? You like rails? Everyone likes rails. And then, right, this is now inert for atmosphere reasons. All the algae I have has been successfully decontaminated, and I won't be producing more for a while. To put a diffuser back on the market. Is it time for logic? Does this setup require thinking? Probably. Hold on, what? What happened? Why did this pipe break? Did we boil? I would doubt that we boiled. Only 50 degrees in the vicinity. Maybe the pipe burst. Stick to making more copper for now, then. Yes, we're going to go grab the clean algae. Alright. Guess I need to switch coolants. Right. Sealed the room. Guess I can reopen it. Hydrogen isn't going to escape from that. Because that's the outlet pipe. That's exactly what happened. Too hot. Time to redo this. Eventually I'll resituate this somewhere closer to where cooling systems can be set up. Take better advantage of the dozer. Auto. Be careful. There's chillers in there. Throw down a gold amalgam conductive plate directly behind where the ice is accumulating. Because that's the problem. The quirk of this, that this hyper-compacted snowball that's sitting here it's really good at remaining ice. It doesn't allow much heat to conduct into it from its surroundings, even while it's immersed in liquid. Alright, so you know what? We need a sensor in place to make sure that the water level inside the machine never drops too low. Because that's the other thing. Now that this is below one full pile of water, that reduces how much fluid mass is in contact with the ice pellet. It's possible I'd be better off having a loop of conveyor belt that just keeps wobbling the ice pellets around so that they're kept in smaller units and will melt more easily. That's the thing. The ice boulder here doesn't gradually sublimate out into liquid. It just melts all at once. And that's a problem. Do not make contact with Chilldozer. In fact, now that we have the robot arm able to handle this, manual dozer operation is minimum priority. No touching. Keep distance. Alright, the modified plumbing is ready. Yeah, I think I need to change away from using the conveyor chute. Yeah, the 23-ton ice boulder, when it pops, will cause a bit of a disturbance in the dozer. Enough so that I'm going to remove this lower door preemptively on each of them and extend the walls. At least these pumps exist. I have at least a bit of artificial wall in the vicinity here, so I can bring power inside. Yeah, only needed a temporary setup for draining this liquid out. Although, how much fluid are we talking about? A few. Several fluid. Why? When? How? Oh, this finished draining the coolant that was already in it that is still regular water. Well, alright. Gonna need some filtration. Or, for some of this, be able to go in manually. Because there's not much mass involved up here. All hands. Start mopping. Alright, there we go. Quirks of the liquid mechanics mean it's fine. As long as they capture the single mode of clean water that's in there. Unless they fail to capture the single mode of clean water that's in there. Alright, on this side we're good. There is a skin of water resting on top of this. A film. Let me adjust the shape of the reservoir. That would help. Probably. Pump, why are you offline? Oh, right, because I haven't replaced the transformer yet. With one big. I suppose I could make this one out of iron. Slam that down there. Ruby is our one existing mech engineer. That's why things weren't getting built. This horrible film of clean water. Alright, now let's prime a circulating loop to try and start pulling heat out of the industrial zone. So we can reduce this problem. We've reached our 9 duplicates. We are not accepting applications at this time. $100 grams of clean water. Here. It'll get scooped up at some point. That's a better way to access the lower tank when needed. Did I successfully resurface the entire wire? Yes. So, time to start powering up this. We'll pop some airflow tiles into this to release that chlorine and any CO2 that picks up in the room. Although anything heavier than hydrogen is getting swept out in these and just pushed into the general ventilation. And the hot water is coming in. Alright, circulating liquid has begun. It is pulling plenty of heat on its journey. I will need a long-term supply of gross water. Strange as it is to think about. Okay, good. Oxygen is now, once again, thanks to the temporary pressure provided by the diffuser. We have air at the checkpoint, which means work can resume in the hazard zone. Relocating that water. We're getting small power hiccups. Right, for now, because we've taken the hydrogen generator back out, so I'm back down to the 4 coal. But soon. I want to remove this bridge. I want this line to come in over here. And I'm getting rid of this pump. Yeah. This vent can stay around. All of that clears out. Yeah, the conveyor rail. What is happening on the conveyor rail? What? Okay, it seems like the empty packets successfully delete themselves if they're able to cross a bridge. But things have gone wrong. Alright, I need to give this a bit of slack so that it can circulate. And then immediately destroy that slack after we've successfully vacated things. Alright, there's oxygen moving more properly. There's that big air. Fresh pups. Would still prefer to release them towards space, where they belong. Alright, air stopped reaching that one a while ago. Need to divert some air off of the main line. That'll do. That'll also free up a couple of watts. That'll free up exactly the watts I need to run this air pump up in the swamp air. That's a plan. Alright, so the greater scheme still. Up until now, all of my power generation has been over here. Do I create a second power plant here and then perform the necessary football to link the two heavy power lines? Or do we pipe this hydrogen all the way over there to join main power instead? That's also possible. But yeah, the steam turbine has to be here. That's where it belongs. That's where it will best do its job. So that's how this goes. We'll be running another power line up to the base. One that has to come in from outside. And then the question will be, can we successfully snake that all the way through and join the two together? That there's one unified grid. I think it can be done. Feeling those fires of innovation. Swamp knowledge. Gold is actually the easiest metal for us to process. Thanks to that lower melting point. Yeah, so let's see. If I were to smuggle the heavy power cable through the basement here, it would be jumping through this insulation. Close this valve. Right, that's how I can prevent myself from flooding these cooling loops. Make it cartridge-based. Close here. Open here. And I load up exactly this segment of pipe with a quantity that I lock it off, then I inject it into this loop. Eventually that does something to help. This pump is a temporary setup. Eventually we rip that out, and then we gain this entire volume that could be used for something. Some kind of tooling. Half ton of dirt. Welcome to the base. Okay, we have a healthy vent set up now. Pretty well. There's a kilogram of oxygen most of the places that need it. Hey, pump, though. Pump? Pump. 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 Just need to inject a filter in here. Yeah. Alright, that keeps the contaminant from getting here. And gives us time to install the filter. The very serious high priority filter that must always have power. Just gonna vent some hydrogen real quick. Just going to get locked by the quirks of ventilation. Oh, there's no more material coming in. That's why. Alright. Art is occurring. Sometimes. Oh, now that I have plastic. the second. Bed Mark II. Yeah, 200 plastic each. There's now some stray hydrogen gas wafting about the facility. It's fine. Okay, new life support system exists. Chiller's... well, upper chiller is running fine now. Lower chiller is having problems. Something like that may help. Ruby, you have the one extremely important job. Also, let's qualify you to wear a suit. We have 2 licensed suit wearers, 3 now. Need to get somebody else into an XO. Alright, unfortunately, something has begun to come up, so I'm going to have to call the session early tonight. Chill Dozer continues next time.